On November 24, 1971, a man boarded a Northwest Orient flight from Portland to Seattle. He wore a black tie, a white shirt, and dark sunglasses. He ordered a bourbon and soda, paid cash, and then, calmly, handed a flight attendant a note. That note changed everything. It read, "I have a bomb. Do exactly as I say." What happened next became the only unsolved case of air piracy in American aviation history. And the man responsible? He vanished. Literally. Into thin air, somewhere over the forests of the Pacific Northwest. More than 50 years later, the FBI still doesn't know who he was, neither does anyone else. This is the story of D.B. Cooper. Flight 305 took off from Portland at 2:50 p.m. with 36 passengers and 6 crew members. The man in seat 18C, who had bought his ticket under the name Dan Cooper, waited until the plane was airborne before making his move. He passed the note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. She assumed it was a lonely man trying to flirt. She slipped it into her pocket without reading it. Then he leaned over and said quietly, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." She read it. Her hands began to shake. Cooper opened his briefcase just enough for her to see. Wires, red cylinders, what appeared to be a device. She believed him. His demands were specific. $200,000 in unmarked, negotiable $20 bills. 4 parachutes, 2 primary, 2 reserve, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. The FBI was immediately notified. The decision was made. Comply. Don't risk the passengers. The plane circled Seattle for 2 hours while authorities scrambled to gather the money and the parachutes. Meanwhile, Cooper sat calmly in his seat, ordering another drink, chatting with the crew. At 5:45 p.m., the ransom was delivered. Cooper counted every single bill. Then he released the passengers. Only the crew remained. Cooper instructed the pilots to fly toward Mexico City at the lowest possible altitude, 10,000 feet, with the landing gear down. He wanted to slow the aircraft as much as possible. Somewhere over southwestern Washington state at approximately 8:13 p.m., in complete darkness, in the rain, in freezing temperatures, D.B. Cooper opened the rear staircase of the Boeing 727 and jumped. He was never seen again. The FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in American history. They searched forests, rivers, and mountains for weeks. Nothing. In 1980, 9 years later, a young boy named Brian Ingram was digging along the Columbia River when he found a small bundle of rotting $20 bills. The serial numbers matched. It was Cooper's money. But how did it get there? And where was the rest? To this day, no one knows. The parachutes were never found. The bomb was never found. The man was never found. Over the decades, more than 1,000 suspects were investigated. The FBI officially closed active investigation in 2016, citing a lack of new physical evidence. But the case remains technically unsolved. So who was D.B. Cooper? Some believe he was a former military paratrooper. Someone who knew exactly how to jump at night in bad weather, in the middle of nowhere. The way he handled the crew, the specific parachute requests, the calm demeanor, it all suggested training. One popular suspect, a man named Richard McCoy, who hijacked another plane just 4 months later using an almost identical method. He was caught, convicted, and later killed in a prison escape. But the FBI ruled him out. Witnesses said Cooper was older, different. Another theory points to a man named L.D. Cooper, identified by his own niece, who claimed her uncle had confessed on his deathbed. DNA evidence was inconclusive. And then there's the theory that Cooper didn't survive the jump at all. That his body is still somewhere in the dense forests of Washington, slowly swallowed by time. The truth is, we simply don't know. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes this case so haunting. D.B. Cooper became a legend. Movies were made. Books were written. He even inspired a Halloween costume. In some corners of America, he was celebrated as a folk hero, the man who outsmarted the FBI and disappeared without a trace. But beneath the myth is a real crime. Real people were terrified that day. A crew of flight attendants who had to comply with the demands of a man they believed had a bomb. Real investigators who spent decades chasing a ghost. The $200,000 Cooper took. In today's money, that's roughly $1.5 million. Most of it has never been recovered. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Do you think D.B. Cooper survived that jump? Is he out there somewhere? Or has he been gone all along? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more unsolved cases like this one, cases that will keep you up at night, make sure you subscribe, because we're just getting started. This has been Dark Verdict. I'll see you in the next one.